All right, guys, we're going to get this thing started. So I'm just going to run through a couple of ways to individualize programs. We'll keep this kind of short and brief and open it up for questions afterwards. I'm going to be on a different tab, so I won't be able to grab you till after. But I'll get this thing started. So where we're going to focus today is individualizing programs within the program builder here. So we're focusing all on the athlete side of this. So this is after we've built templates and assigned these templates out to teams, groups, whatever it may be. And then we want to jump in and make individual edits, whether it's availability of equipment or injuries or limitations or just preference of the individual, whatever that may be. So I'm going to jump into an individual program assignment. I'm going to grab just somebody from our demo library here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in and open up our strength and conditioning template. And you can see here this is the athlete assignment that started on September 25th. So I'm just going to go a quick overview of the different tools, the different buttons that we have available before we do any kind of customization or individualization for a program for an athlete. What we have here is, nice and simply put, our expandy button that we called it. That's the technical term. So if you click on the expandy, you jump up and you can see what's been assigned on each day of the week here. You can see that full week. You can see if there's any supersets involved, what the sets and reps are. If there's any progressions involved, you can see that as well, just to give you a general idea of what's going on in that week. Within the expandy, once you click it, you also get this 3-dot option, which allows you to copy this week out. So if you do click on copy this week, it will give you the larger calendar view and give you the option to select and paste that week down if you'd like. Another basic tool that we have up here is our actual program options itself. If you have clicked this button before you've edited anything for this individual, you have these 4 options. Basically, you can edit the start date. You can move this program to a different day. Just a brief reminder for everybody within this program builder is day 1 is what they will see. So even if this day 1, September 25th, were empty, this would still technically be day 1 of the program, just so you know. But with that being said, you can change the start date. It gives you the option to select on a calendar to pick a different date to move it around for an athlete or for a user. The next option down is toggle prompt. What this does, if you click it, it'll just prompt on the home screen or not. So if you want to hide this in the background, if this is something that's accessory work for the athlete that you don't want them thinking is necessary, you can turn off that prompt for them or leave it. The next thing is unassigned, pretty self-explanatory, and pause is self-explanatory as well. We've recently released the feature where the athlete can preview days in the future without impacting anything. So in the past, if they had opened a future day, that became their day. You can't edit it for them on the larger template. Now they can preview. But what you can do is if you pause an assignment to an athlete, they won't see their program anymore. You can make all the changes for the day. So say it's Friday the 29th, and I'm going to be making changes on that day. I can pause that program for the athlete, make those changes, unpause it, and then that way they didn't open it up and see the previous work assigned. So moving on to the next tool here on our upper bar is going to be our magnifying glass. What this does is if you click this, it allows you to populate a list of everything that's been programmed so far in this workout. So it's not going to be the exercise library itself. It's going to be everything that's actually been assigned within this template. And what you can do is search for an exercise to see, do I have any squats in here? I do. I have front squats and Zercher squats. If I want to find where that exercise is, I just click on it. What this thing's going to do is outline where it's been assigned, and it's also going to give you a general idea of that assignment of sets and reps, weight, different constraints that have been assigned to that, so you can get a preview of what's going on with that exercise. While you're in this menu, you can go ahead and click on a day, and it's going to give you the option to actually then begin to customize things. So I'm going to jump into this in a second. Another option is the swap exercise tool for customization. I'm going to leave this uncustomized just for the next couple seconds here, just to make a point here. So the next thing you can do is switch from calendar view to list view. What this does is just simply gives you a list of what's programmed on each day versus the calendar of each day. And then the last tool up here is periodization of the program. So you can see assigned volume, intensity, and everything like that within the periodization menu. So you can see each day or each week within here, you can see the volume assigned. And then what it'll also do is if this athlete or this user has 2 programs assigned, it'll show you where any kind of volume has been assigned in a separate program. It'll say not in program. So you can see on Friday, day 5 this week, they get a volume of 200 in addition to what's been already assigned to them in this program. So you can just kind of double check on that in the periodization view. And then last but not least is obviously the save icon. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get into a couple of individualization options for you, and we'll roll from there. So first things first is just going to be the simple edit of a day. So I'm going to jump in, say I want to edit this upcoming Friday. Within this, you can edit for everyone. This isn't individual. This is for the library template. So for this webinar here specifically, we're just going to go to the customize. Once you click this day becomes specific to this athlete. So what that does is protect any changes you've made to this athlete. It also protects the initial template that you made without changing the library or changing it for anybody else. So it keeps it fully individualized. Once you're on this view for this day, you can see that all of these are currently library circuits, which means they are saved within your library and they're good to go. So you don't have an option to save it to the library because it already is, right? So within this menu, you can edit those circuits. You can remove the circuit entirely. You can change the order from AABB to ABAB if it's a circuit training type deal, ABC, ABC, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, you can select exercises. If you click that, it'll allow you to customize this circuit, which then begins the custom assignment here, which means now it's not a library circuit to make any changes, right? So it allows you to, if you do select exercises or anything like that, it allows you to delete multiple exercises at once. But if I come in here and I want to make changes to this individual, so they've got 5 sets of 3 minutes on the airdyne bike with 2-minute rest between bouts. If I want to go ahead and change this progression and actually show them the rest, I can go ahead and create a set progression. It's going to bring me to my menu. I can then go ahead and add a rest in there. It's going to be 2 minutes, and I can drag on this bar and add it up there. And I'm going to make a copy of it and basically make this progression 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off, all the way down, just going in between each set. So there we are. I'm then going to go ahead and hit save. You can see this isn't saved yet. We have the orange bar previewing it. You can go ahead and make further changes. Now you have 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off. You don't have to worry about the note anymore. It's going to actually give that athlete the ability to run a timer for their 2-minute rest while they're on the airdyne bike or whatever exercise they're doing. Now that I've customized this circuit, what I can do is revert it back to the library if I don't like the changes I made and I want to start over. If I hit revert, it just cancels out everything that I just did and brings back that library circuit. What I can also do is come back in here. Now that this is saved and good to go, I can then hit this button and copy this circuit and give it a new name. And what this is going to do is leave this unchecked. It's still going to be called bike intervals, but this exact circuit will now be a library circuit that you can assign to other athletes within the system. So that's going to be a very simple update to individualizing this program. And you can, again, you guys are familiar with the circuit builder, I'm sure. You can make any other changes outside of set progressions. You can change sets and reps. You can click on the options and change the properties to this and have the athlete record, you know, how many feet they jumped on their broad jump or how many, you know, meters they jumped, whatever it may be. You can change anything like that. You can create supersets and stuff like that within here as well. I will spare you the time there because we are already well versed in that because of our earlier webinars and stuff like that. So that's the simple of editing a day and saving a circuit. So now now that I've edited it, it has a little person icon, which means that this Friday is specific to this user and different from the library template. So you can take that for what it's worth and note that I did save the spike intervals circuit to the library. So then I can go ahead and pull it in for another athlete in place if I want to reuse that progression instead of what was existing in the library template. So the next tool I'm going to use is going to be our swap exercise tool. So I'm going to go ahead back to that magnifying glass, and you know, maybe this is a limitation for somebody, and they've got a shoulder injury or something like that, or an upper back or something like that, right? And they're uncomfortable with doing their front squat. and you want to change it and maybe give them a goblet squat or something like that instead, whatever it may be. Once I have selected that on my menu, I can hit my 3 dots icon and swap exercise. And I've got a bunch of options in here within that swap exercise tool. I can either select individual weeks by clicking on them that way and highlighting them. This icon in the top right allows me to select all of them at once. And then once I'm happy with my selection, maybe I'm swapping out all 4 weeks, I hit this icon here in the further right, and that brings me to my exercise library where I can select what I'm going to swap with. So maybe I want my front squat. Instead of my front squat, I'm going to go ahead and do a goblet squat. Now that I've selected my exercise, it gives me a preview and says you are swapping barbell front squat for a dumbbell goblet squat. Next, you get an option to keep the same setting. So if you want the same 5x5 at athlete chosen weight, you would check that box and it would complete the swap for you. If you leave this unchecked and just hit swap without that, it brings you to the progression editor. So maybe since it's a dumbbell goblet squat, you might want to give them extra reps. So instead of sets of 5, we'll go sets of 10. We can still leave it athlete chosen weight, and we'll copy it down for 5 sets. We'll save that. Now we're happy. It's going to swap that exercise out. So it takes a little bit. It'll roll through. And then what you'll see at the end is instead of a list of days containing the front squat, it's now days containing the dumbbell goblet squat with your 5x10 athlete chosen. So if I hit the back arrow, and I hit the expansion icon here, that Monday that had that front squat in there is now going to have that dumbbell goblet squat instead listed here with that 5x10 that we decided. So that's how you make a quick swap for that athlete. And again, that is specific to just this athlete now that I've made that swap. And that's that. So the next thing I'm going to go over is a couple different options of moving a day. So say you have a user, an individual that missed a day. So they had this workout assigned on Wednesday, September 27th, right? And they didn't do it. So what I can do is on this options icon, I can go ahead and copy this day, paste it onto Thursday, say they're going to do it today instead. I copy it, we're good to go, and it jumps it over to Thursday. I always recommend hitting save after this. And then just to avoid an empty day or a missed day in the completion report or anything like that, just delete that day, remove it from the program, so that now you have that Wednesday moved over to this Thursday, and away you go. So you're set there, and that day has then been moved. Now, with that being said, we are working on features, so coming soon, of moving days and making it a little bit smoother for you. But right now, that's the way to go about that. So we've got our swap, we've got our progression editor, we have our exercise identifier. The last thing I'm going to go over is now, so say you've edited this program for this individual, but you've got another person that doesn't want to do the front squat, or you just like how this template looks. What you can do is, now that I've edited this program and customized it for this week, I then can save it. I should be able to copy this over, but I revert this to the library just to get this out of my way, but no work. Let me refresh this really fast. You should be able to copy this to the library now to make this able to assign up to other users. So if I come back to this athlete now in the newly edited program, you can see now when I open up their menu as well, and I jump back over to Cole Wepner, this assignment, now that I've customized it, has that person icon on it. So I open this, it's fully customized, there we are. So we copy the library. What this is going to do is allow me to, so strength and conditioning, edited, or phase 2, or whatever you want to call it, to just differentiate it within the library. So you can find it and say you like this new assignment and assign it out to other users within the system. We'll just call this edited and copy it. It copies the program out to the library so that you can give it to somebody else now without having to make these changes over and over and over again. So say you've got a group of 3 different individuals that have the same ailment or same changes. Maybe it's a morning session that hates squats altogether and you just want to swap it out for somebody else. You can just edit it on one user instead of creating an entirely new program, and then copy it to the library and reassign it that way to save yourself a little bit of time there. The last thing I'll show you here, just an individual program, just to give you an idea of what these buttons are on the bottom. The last thing is you can add weeks. So say we're happy with this 4-week block of training. And we want to give them a deload week or a week off. So I want to leave this week blank and add a week underneath and start prescribing their strength and conditioning circuits and programming a week in the future. I can do that, leave this blank, and then go ahead and start adding in new circuits and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna, for the sake of time, just gonna grab some random circuits in here. So we'll grab a 531 and select it and drop it in. Now that's saved, that's all good to go. That athlete will see that week off. It doesn't expire the program. It keeps the assignment given to that athlete, and they'll be able to just flow right through with the same name for familiarity's sake. It's just an option that you have. If you want to use it, you can start building out days and programs and stuff like that within the same template of this individual if they want to carry on or something like that, or just want to split it up. So it's pretty short and sweet, nice and simple webinar, about 15 minutes long here on the tools of individualizing programs. I didn't want to get too in the nitty gritty of, giving them new circuits and supersets and alternate exercises and stuff like that, because that's stuff we've already covered in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here and open it up to any questions you guys have. If there's anything you wanted to see covered, feel free to let me know and we'll address it now.